Well, this week I decided to, teacher, leave those kids alone. Well, I decided to talk about this time of year, a lot of homeschoolers start to get burned out. So I thought I would just cover a little bit of that and how to ease that burnout. And maybe we can get into more topics about that. But one of the things is, mamas, when you're getting burned out and you're seeing that curriculum's not working, put it aside. Let's talk about math. And my daughter, we tried Math UC, Saxon Math. We tried every math you can think of. And I was at the end of my rope. I was ready. I'm surprised I still have my hair because I was pulling my hair out literally because she just was not getting the math. And instead of pushing it and pushing it and pushing it there's a lot of moms out there, and I've done it. You push it and you push it and you push it, and then the child starts to cry. You start to cry. You start to get frustrated, and you're ready to just say, you know what, I'm putting you into school. Instead of that, back off. Take vacation. Take a vacation from math. Do everything else, but take a vacation. Or if it's spelling, take a vacation from that. Or in fact, sometimes what I like to do this time of year, my kids always are like prepared for mom to do something crazy or witty, because I will just, like, it's snowing out in Toledo, I will just all of a sudden throw their jackets at them, close their books and say, go outside, make a fort, have a snowball fight, go be kids. We need to remember these are children. We forget that our children are children. They're not adults. And sometimes we start talking to them and we're like, you need to act like an adult. Well, they're a child. You're supposed to be teaching them how to be an adult. And we forget that. And we get so burned out and focused on how the world thinks that we're supposed to educate our children. Every now and then, throw a wrench in there. Hey, guess what? Movie day. Let's watch a movie. Pop some popcorn. Throw a little wrench every now and then to show your children, one, you love them. Two, that it's okay, that you don't need to know everything. And by the way, my daughter with math, we still struggled. She graduated high school. She went to college, and she ended up getting A's and B's in her math class because she had to study harder, but she knew how to study. And that's one thing. You want to not crush your child into not liking to learn. And so many mamas do that. They crush their child into not liking to learn. And we could go on. There's so much more to burnout. And mommies out there, KISS, keep it simple, sister. That's it for today.
Joe, that's such good advice. I know even with Mariah, right now she's 2 and I'm trying to work on fine motor skills and doing some things. And yesterday we broke down, and we hadn't done this before. We did Play-Doh, and she worked with Play-Doh and she actually learned to make a little, long, some would say a little snake. She said it was a snake. So she said, I made a snake. I said, I see that. So, but she was learning, it was just out of the routine of what we've normally done, because I hadn't introduced that stuff yet. And she probably for 1 hour played with that and learned to roll it roll it on the surface. And she was using those skills and because she didn't want to read yesterday. She didn't want to read a book. Yeah. Usually she does. She was like,
we forget that kids are like us. There are days we don't want to read. There's days where, we have to go to work, but we don't want to go to work, but we go to work, or clean our house or whatever. We don't want to do that. Like today, I'm going to have to clean the bathroom, and I really don't want to do it. I'd like to skip that and do it maybe tomorrow. So we forget that kids are like that. And we need to be reminded of that. We need to make it fun. We need to remind them, there's structure, but there's such structure that you can make it to where, hey, you know what? Today we're not going to do anything. We're going to go instead. We're going to put this to the side. I see you're stressing out about it. And when a child's stressing out, they're not going to learn anything. Mm-mm. They're not going to learn. When a child's crying and pulling their hair out because they don't get it, you can't force feed a child. You can't force learn a child either. And we need to remember that and sit back, mamas, relax. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. Stop thinking you're doing something wrong, because homeschooling is the best thing for your child, because it's your child. It's not the government's child. It's not the school system's child. God blessed you with this child. It is your child. You know what's best for your child.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, I love this segment. I love your segments every week, because there are so many of us that homeschool, and we need that encouragement and that wisdom from other homeschool parents. Man, you can learn so much and be encouraged so much by other people who are doing it. And let me tell you something else. Nobody does it the same way, and that's okay.
Exactly. And ladies, chillax. Relax.
For me, I'm much more as she gets, when I homeschooled my son, I was very, very structured, because I'm sort of that way. So now there would be moments that we would do that stuff and go out. We'd school, and we'd go down to Paladura Canyon, and which is 20 minutes from here, is beautiful. And we'd do stuff there, or we'd break off, but then we'd come home. And when I was at home, I was a very structured person. So I was like, but I also knew the way he learned, and he learns by all the senses. So we always did try to school that way, using everything. Because anyway, that's long.
Yeah, you do
You
have
know how to make your own Play-Doh.
Yes, and in fact, I'm going to bring that up one day, and you might, if I can figure out how to do it.
Better, because it doesn't stick to your furniture and your carpet and all that.
Exactly.
It's good. And it's
But
cheap.
I thought I would try. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put a table up here and maybe teach everybody how to make goop. And
Ooh, yeah. That'd be fun.
And the other thing is how to make this one thing that my kids loved, and it was called, is it a solid or is it a liquid? And it's both.
That's fun.
It's the really coolest thing, and everybody pretty much has it in their house to make this. I just got to find the recipe again. And that's the fun things. To pull out the goop. You know, goop is glues and different things. And by the way, that's chemistry class. So everything that you do with your children, you sending them out to play in the snow, like I was saying earlier in the segment, that's physical education. And they're also building a fort. Well, that's kind of engineering skills and math, because they got to figure out how big of blocks to make. I mean, my kids literally made an igloo, but it was square.
That's cool.
They couldn't make a round one because they couldn't figure it out, but they made a square fort igloo. And then my son went on the other side, made his sister one with him. And then he helped his brother make his. And then they had a major 3-way snowball fight and had a blast. But they learned something. They learned how to cooperate. They learned how to build something and they had to use their math skills. So just the simple thing of playing, they're learning. Their minds are thinking. They're using their imaginations. And we've forgotten about that. Some children are now using these iPads, iPods, computers, video games, blah, blah, blah.
Get rid of that.
Imagination.
Yeah. Well, even with Amariah,
Goop. I was there. I vividly remember the first time they made me finger paint in kindergarten. I hated it. I did not think it was fun. I did not like that junk on my hands. I was a very uncooperative child in kindergarten.
Well, you wouldn't like my house.
I do not like this. Way.
Amariah loves dirt. She likes to be outside. She likes to do that. But one of the things we do, even though she's just barely 2 years old, and I've been having her do this for a while, we cook together or bake together, and we do fractions. And I know you say, why would you be talking to a little child that age about fractions? I do, because guess what they maintain? We go outside and we look at the sun, and we talk about, and the trees, and we talk about photosynthesis. Yes, even at this age. And when there were leaves on, so she was younger even. And we don't limit yourself. Talk and teach your kids. That's one of my advice too. Don't say, well, they're this age, so I need to talk this age. No.
Since the day they are born, you've already started homeschooling them.
You know what? It never dawned on me, because we always hear, well, I'll never use algebra again. Well, if you sew, you use algebra and geometry. Mm-hmm. People don't think about that, because what is this X value here that's going to equal this and all that. Because a friend of mine, I realized it with a friend of mine. She's a very good seamstress. I mean, you show her something and she can make it. But she'll look at something and she'll do it in her head like, well, this is so wide and I need this and da 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 da. I mean, she's so used to doing it. But I'm going like, that's algebra. And then it's got to be this shape and that. I said, that's geometry. I said, you're using algebra and geometry for sewing. You never would think
gardening.
you're doing it, but you do.
It's the same thing with gardening. You're using math when you do a garden. There's math used in many things that we don't even realize. And the reason I say you homeschool from the time your child is born, or even before the child's born, because you're singing to them. At least I did. I sung to my son when he was in my belly, in my womb. I read the Bible. I read books to him. My husband talked to him in my belly. We homeschool our children from the beginning. See, a lot of people think homeschooling is like structured like the school system. Homeschooling is not structured like the school system. Homeschooling is educating your child from day one. You're teaching your child how to get, when they're born, how to latch on to, if you're breastfeeding the breast, or how to latch on to that bottle. You're teaching them how to do that.
That's
Later
right.
on, you're teaching them you're helping them to learn how to sit up and roll over. They're learning how to roll over, and you're helping them by, kind of flipping them and going, look, you're teaching them these things, and you don't realize that you are already homeschooling. You with toddlers out there, when you're teaching your child how to pick up their toys, you're homeschooling. When you're reading to them in the Bible or the books, you're homeschooling. When you're like you say you cook with Amariah, which is a wonderful thing. I think that everyone should teach their child to cook in an early stage, or bake. In fact, we did that with my granddaughter when she was here. We baked muffins. You're homeschooling them, and you don't even realize it, because so many people have been put into this box of thinking homeschooling is the way the school system has been doing it for not that many years. Homeschooling's been happening since Adam and Eve had their first children.
Yes. Well, I think all of that is well said. Joe, thank you for this homeschooling segment. Thank you for bringing in your wisdom, and thank you for your commentary too, Sherry. And
we are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.